Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews. And I've got 3 boxes from sort of the end of my boxes of boxes. There are other boxes of boxes, but they're in boxes of other things. Unfortunately, when the mover is packed, and I did not pack myself. I couldn't. I just couldn't. I got one of those pack and move deals, where you pay them and they pack everything. And I said to them, segregate books and CDs. I tried to make it general. Well, sometimes they did and sometimes they didn't. So there are swaths of stuff still buried because I've unpacked most of the CDs, but I haven't gotten to the books and scores yet. And I'm not even going to get to the scores, a lot of them, for probably about a year. And I don't even know if I want to bother anymore since everything's available like for free on IMSLP now. It's almost not worth it. But the point is, some of those things have CDs buried in them and some big boxes of CDs and things. So I have to find them. And this came from a box of box sets. Let's just put it that way. And some of them, 3 of these, well, there are 3 of them. 2 of them are terrible, pardon me. 1 of them is excellent. And we'll start with excellent first, because that's easy. Szell conducts Dvořák and Smetana. Ooh, baby, baby, baby. Absolutely marvelous. Now, this, of course, this is the Sony repackaging, budget repackaging, not the big box. And it doesn't contain everything that Szell did, because he did a lot of mono stuff. For Dvořák, anyway, there's a whole mono set of Slavonic dances, and, that stuff is not in here. Some of it is, for some strange reason, and some of it is not. What else have we got here? Slavonic dances. This is odd. This is very, very odd. Wait a second. It's not all the Slavonic dances. What did they do here? Let's take a look. Let's see, first of all, we've got to do dates. This is what we're never going to know. I mean, Szell's Dvořák was fabulous. He loved Dvořák, and it's wonderful. So we've got the New World Symphony, which is amazing. The Moldau, which is the best ever. I am not kidding. And then the 3 dances for the Bartered Bride and the Carnival Overture. I mean, just astoundingly fabulous, especially the ending of the Moldau, which is like the only version that gets the trumpet part absolutely right. And we had a whole discussion about this when we talked about the Moldau. Some of you pointed out that he used some extra trumpets to get the rhythm right. Good for him. That's what he should have done. That's what Smetana should have done. Dvořák 7 and 8. Totally, totally marvelous, especially 7. Oh, it's such a great performance of the 7th. It's unbelievable. Then we've got the complete Slavonic dances. Thank you, the stereo ones. It doesn't say that on the back of the box. That's what was puzzling me. It just says Slavonic dances, opus 72. Well, here they are, opus 46. No, I couldn't read it. That's what happened. I was just not reading it correctly. So we have the Slavonic dances. Excellent. Then we have the earlier mono New World Symphony with the earlier mono Moldau. The Moldau's with the New York Philharmonic, this one. So yeah, that's good. There we go. Then we get the piano concerto. This is also mono with Rudolf Virkushny. It's the revised piano concerto, but it's wonderful to have. And some of these are with Cleveland, some with New York, then more Bartered Bride overture, and then from Bohemia's Fields and Groves, or Woods and Fields, or Meadows and Things, or from Ma Vlast. And that's nice to have, the older ones. And then we have, here we go again, Slavonic dances. Yes, both of them. The mono Slavonic dances. Yes, so they are in here. Yes, the mono stuff is here. Fantastic. I think the mono set is better than the stereo set. I really do. And I think the sound is even clearer. So there you go. Then we've got 3 Slavonic dances that he did again for some reason. And then, 5 Slavonic dances, 2 from Opus 46, 2 from Opus 72. It says here, arrangement George Szell. I wonder what that means. They sound, like Slavonic dances to me. And then we have, the String Quartet number 1 by Smetana in the arrangement as a symphony by Szell, which is a fabulous arrangement. It's absolutely first rate, and it's a wonderful performance, and the piece really ought to be repertoire because it's a wonderful work, and it's sensitively done and very effective. And so that's the Szell, Dvořák, and Smetana box, which is terrific. I can't. There we go. Getting things open is always a challenge, as you know. So that's box number 1, which is great. Box number 2. Celibidache does sacred music and opera. Now, if there's ever somebody who should never have touched anything for the human voice, it was this guy, because he didn't give a damn about the human voice, with his excruciatingly slow tempos and his strange concept of balance and sonority. Oh, this is such a bow wow of a disc. You cannot imagine. Although there are some orchestral pieces in here that aren't so bad. So what do you get? You get the B minor Mass. 127 minutes of it. The Mozart Requiem. 68 minutes of it. The Verdi Requiem. I can't even snore. This is just comatose. It's death. Death in sound. It's the most undramatic, uninteresting, insane 104 minutes of it. Brahms' German Requiem. 84 minutes of it. Oh, God, blessed are the dead because they're really dead. And they're staying dead. That's the words, Okay. The Fauré Requiem, coupled with Stravinsky's Symphony of Psalms. Not as bad. Not as bad. I mean, the Stravinsky's worthless, but the Fauré is not so terrible. Then we've got the Italian opera overtures by Rossini, Verdi, and Mozart. Please. I mean, this is a guy for whom, rhythm was a sometime thing. Yeah. And overtures by Berlioz, Mendelssohn, Schubert, Strauss, and Smetana's The Moldau. Oh, a Moldau, just after hearing Szell do it. Listen to Celli. I mean, what a comparison between a phony and the real deal, comparing those two performances. Then you've got, Weber, the Oberon Overture, and 2 discs of Wagner stuff. The Parsifal, Good Friday music, the Tristan and Isolde, Prelude and Liebestod. And these 3 things are only 47 minutes and 59 seconds, so it's lickety-split for Celli. And Wagner, Meistersinger Prelude, the Siegfried Idyll, Götterdämmerung Funeral March, and the Tannhäuser Overture. And these timings include the applause. That's what makes them so long, of course. Now, this box doesn't exist anymore because what they did was, I just want to see something here. Here we go. Let's just look at a timing or two. Just for the Siegfried Idyll is 23 incredibly trudgy minutes. Kill me now. The Meistersinger Prelude, 12 minutes. Götterdämmerung Funeral March, 9 minutes. Okay, that's all right. Tannhäuser Overture, 16 minutes. Oh, it's not so bad. All right, so look. Here's the bottom line. You hear revelations of texture and balance every so often in these performances, but most of the time they're just snoozeroos because drama was never his thing. Ever. Never in the world. I mean, listen to his Beethoven symphonies. They're just as droopy. But, these were released, as I said, originally as single discs. And then they came out in these collected boxes. And now there's a one big Celibidache box with all of the stuff he did from this series in it. And, the guy has revelatory moments. But, what does that mean? I mean, what does that mean? It's like saying if you put a chimpanzee in front of a keyboard, eventually he'll plonk out a Beethoven sonata. Well, that's what happened with this guy. Some of the stuff, occasionally he did something that was amazing because playing something at 1/3 its usual tempo and rehearsing it, 4,000 million times to the point of complete, whatever word you want to put in. Of course, it's going to be okay. But then, there's the rest of it. Well, this is mostly the rest of it, so forget that. Next, oh yes, the Svetlanov Mahler cycle. I keep this as a party record. It's the worst Mahler cycle ever. The sound is horrible. The orchestral playing is disgusting. The interpretations are either very, very, very slow or very, very, very fast, and very, very, very bad in both extremes. It's just wretched. I mean, it has nothing whatsoever to recommend it, except, I would think, the Rondo Burlesca of the Ninth Symphony, which he gets through in like 9 minutes. And it sounds kind of like the Toccata from Shostakovich's Eighth. I mean, you really get a sense. It sounds very Russian in that version. I think it's like 9 minutes. Let's just take a look here. It's just horrible. I mean, what really bothered me about it, I can deal with horrible performance and interpretation. I mean, sometimes that's interesting. But in this case, the sound was just dreadful. I mean, such awful sonics. It's incredible. Yeah, the rondo burlesque, pardon me, 10 minutes and 25 seconds. Usually it's like, 12, 13, 14, something in there. So it's incredibly fast, and that's kind of fun. And they do sort of hang on and blast through it in the crudest possible way. Now, I actually, this originally came out on that Saison Russe label or something like that was part of like Praga or one of those things. And my good friend, the critic, Christophe Huss at Le Devoir in Montreal, we were talking about these, and I told him they were just the worst things ever. And we were at the Midem convention for the Cannes Classical Awards and all that, and Christophe introduced me to this French guy at the opening night party. The opening night party was sponsored, I remember, by Mexico. They picked a country every year to sponsor this opening night extravaganza, and at the opening night extravaganza, they all had Mexican beer, Corona, and that they were giving away with like limes stuffed in the thing. It was very nice. And there was a Mexican rap group which consisted of guys wearing underwear pajamas with drop seats reversed. The drop seats in the front. It was rather ridiculous, screaming rap in Spanish. It was in this giant tent, and you get food. And this was the year that communism ended. It was like the early 90s. It was a couple of years after that. And so Midem, the organization, went out and they got all of the Eastern European countries to spend a fortune taking big booths to showcase their musical whatevers. And so all the Russians were there. And I'll never forget it because at the food table, the Russians just formed this phalanx of people and blocked everybody out. And it was like a swarm of locusts descending on the beer and the free food. And they all got sloshed, and it was quite something. So we're at this bacchanalia opening party. It was just grotesque. And then, of course, everyone ate oysters and got food poisoning. It was just beyond fun. So Christophe introduces me to this French guy. We're chatting up, and Christophe says to me, "So what did you think of the Svetlanov Mahler cycle?" And I said, "Oh God, it's just shit. It's horrible. It's technically atrocious. The performances are just miserable. It's a disgrace. It's absolutely a disgrace." And this guy looks at me like, he disagrees strongly with this whole argument and this whole thing. And afterwards, I said to Christophe, "What's with him?" I mean, he got very offended that I thought it sucked. Christophe said, "Oh, that's the producer." Oops. Anyway, so here you go. The worst Mahler cycle ever. I keep it for the laughs. And maybe you will too. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.